this is Leslie Wagner from Silver Lining Knitting, and I'm here with my second part of my tutorial on cables in Celtic patterns. The last video we got started with this practice chart and I demonstrated the 4-stitch cables with both knit and purl stitches. So this video will continue with the 4-stitch cable that has only knit stitches in it.
Okay, I've turned the loom over so you can see the front of the work that we've done so far. We started with our garter stitch border. We established our reverse stockinette background, and we had these pairs of knit stitches that show the strands of our knot. And then we did the row with the knit and purl cables that pulled those two strands together toward the middle. I've knitted the following row already that has the 4 knit stitches in the center where the strands came together. And now we're ready for the row with the all knit cable that will cross the strands over. This particular stitch with the all knits where you're crossing the strands over is not as important in terms of direction because you've got all 4 knit stitches in a row anyway, but you should be consistent with it. So I have this one at the beginning of the pattern as a right leaning, and then I've made one up further in the pattern that's a left leaning. So you still want to be, because you want to be consistent with them through your pattern, you still have to be careful with those. I'm looking for that high side of the stitch symbol, which is on the right. So those are the stitches that I'll pick up first, so that my stitches that are in the front of the work are leaning from to the left. So let's get started on that row. So we purl across to where the cable stitch will happen, and you get used to doing a lot of purl stitches in these Celtic patterns because of that reverse stockinette background. So it's good practice for purling. Okay, I've gone to the blue stitch marker plus 1 more. So now I'm at our 4 knit stitches in the center. I'm going to pick up the 2 on the right. Oops, this one. And put those stitches back, then move the other 2 over. So now I have the stitches in the front are leaning to the left. Excuse me, to the right. Yes, this is a right leaning cable. Okay, I've put both of the stitches from the cable needle onto one peg, and then I move the top one over. Now I have my 4 stitches in a row, and I just knit all 4 of them on this one. And this will cross our stitches, our strands over each other in our pattern. Then I purl the rest of the way across. Oh, my yarn's getting caught. There we go. And my 2 stitches in the garter stitch border get purled in this direction, then I knit my turning peg at the end. Now we're ready for our next row. Our next row that shows our again, we have the 4 knit stitches in the middle because the 2 strands came together and they crossed over, and now they stay together for one more row before the next row that moves them apart. So we knit the first 2 that are our garter stitch border on the side. Then we do our purls. Purls going the difficult direction. I'm trying a sort of different way of doing them that I don't have to keep putting down and picking up my my working yarn. I will try to do a video on that soon. Okay, I've reached those center 4 stitches and they will be knit. And I will purl the rest of the way over to my pink stitch marker. One more. And you can hear my neighbor walking their dog, and now my dog will start to bark at the neighbor's dog walking by on the sidewalk. Okay, I knit my 2 garter stitch border stitches and my turning peg. So I finished that row. Now let's turn it over and see what we see. Okay, you can see where the 2 strands have crossed over each other and they're still together. The next row in the pattern will reverse those cable stitches that we did at the beginning of the video. Okay, in order to save some time on this video, I've skipped ahead a bit to give you just another short demonstration of these 4-stitch knit and purl combination cables. These 2 we're going to be moving the strands away from each other, so we start with a left leaning and then a right leaning. I've already knit across to where the cables start. This first one's going to be a left leaning, so I'm going to pick up the 2 stitches on the left first, then move the next 2 over. So again, on the front side of the work, I have the 2 stitches that are leaning to the left. I put my other 2 stitches from the cable needle back onto the pegs, and this is where our strand is, so those 2 get knit. And the other 2 get purled. Now we're into our next cable stitch. This one we did the left leaning, now we're going to do the right leaning. So we pick up the 2 stitches on the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are my 4 stitches that I'm working with. Pick up the right 2, move these 2 over, and then so we have our stitches in the front leaning to the right, and then we put the other 2 back. So whenever you do these cables, these combination knit and purl, the stitches that you had on the cable needle and put back onto the loom last will be the ones that get the purl, because those are the ones that are in the back. They're the background of the pattern, so they get the purl stitches. and then the 2 stitches that are the strand that shows up in the pattern get knit. So that finishes that row. I will complete a few more rows. Notice in the pattern, the next 3 rows have no cables. We're just moving the strands forward in the pattern. So I'm going to knit those and come back and do one last demonstration of the cables. Okay, I've knitted those few rows in between, and you can see the progress on the front side. We started with our strands here. We moved them together with combination cable stitches. We crossed them with all knit cable stitch, and then we moved them apart again, and now they are actually, if I spread the work out, you can see they're actually moving straight up. Now we will move the strands back together again using first a right leaning and then a left leaning cable. So again, I figure it doesn't hurt for you to see this several times. So we pick up the stitches on the right, move those on the left over. So now we have stitches on the front leaning from right to left. We put these 2 back again. And again, the stitches that came off the cable needle get purled. The stitches that are on the front of the work in the cross get knit. There's that one. Now the next one's going to lean the other direction to the left. So we pick up the left 2 stitches. We move the right 2 over. And we put the left 2 back down. Here we go again with my stitches being a little bit tight and not wanting to go onto the peg. There we go. All right, and these 2 are knit. And these 2 are purled. Now, what I will do is, because I think this last cable stitch is fairly self-explanatory, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the pattern and show you what it looks like. Okay, here's what the work looks like now that I've finished all of the cable stitches in the pattern. You see we started with the strands of the knot on the outside. We moved them together, crossed them over with the right leaning side on top, moved them back apart again, and then together and crossed over with the left leaning side on the top. So I followed the pattern as I put it in the chart to practice all of those different cable stitches a few times. I will be doing some more videos on some of these Celtic patterns, including a pattern that I'm developing that you can purchase on Ravelry hopefully soon. I hope you enjoyed learning something about Celtic patterns and how to do cable stitches in them.